Will there be a lot of homework in primary 1? Does your child need to know how to read before entering primary school? Does your child need tuition to prepare for primary 1? I have spoken to several primary school teachers to find out just how much our 6-year-olds need to know before they step foot into primary school. Watch on to find out more. Hi everyone, I'm Jacinth. I'm a parenting coach and ex-school teacher. If your child is entering primary 1 next year, I can completely understand your anxiety. I believe I was more worried than my son. Now that he is in primary 2, I hope to share my experiences to ease your anxiety. At this point of recording, my girl is going to go to primary 1 next year, and I'm definitely more prepared because I know what to expect. This is why I have created this series of videos, Transition to Primary 1, so that you can have a better idea of what to expect and how to help your kids prepare. I have conducted Zoom and email interviews with several primary school teachers to find out exactly what is happening in the classrooms and their best tips. I want to take this opportunity to thank the teachers that I've interviewed. Many of them prefer to be anonymous, but here are some of them whom I'm very grateful for. Miss Lu, Miss Joy, Miss Hui Xin and Miss Serene, and many more. Together, they have decades of experience teaching children in different subjects, with mother tongue, with English, social studies, math, science, and even in the special needs education. Many of them are form teachers themselves, so they have guided the children at the beginning of the year. So I'm sure these tips that I'll be sharing in the next few videos will be very, very valuable. I hope you find this series helpful, but I would like to clarify that every school is different and every teacher is different. Please understand that the sharings are based on my experience and my interview with the teachers, so they may or may not apply in your kids' primary school. In this series of Transition to Primary 1, you can expect to learn how you can help your kids in these 5 areas: academic learning, adjusting to new school environment, developing habits and routines at home, building social-emotional competencies, and finally, parent-school partnership. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you'll be alerted when more videos are uploaded. In today's video, we're going to talk about the academic skills that your child needs in order to transit to primary school, what exactly they need to know for each subject, and how you can help your child. All the teachers I spoke to have unanimously agreed that we should not over-prepare our children academically. This means there is no need to send your kids for academic tuition to prepare them for primary 1. And here are 2 reasons why you should not over-prepare your children. Firstly, academic over-preparation can erode the joy of learning because children have already learned everything in advance. Can you imagine going into a class where your teacher is teaching something you already know? You will feel bored, and this understimulation can lead to several behavioral issues. I have personally heard of stories where students have already learned everything way in advance and they start to get bored in class, they start to disturb their friends, they become complacent. Unlike kindergarten, most classes in primary school require the kids to sit down. So can you imagine if you are really bored but you can't step and walk around? You start fiddling with your stationery, you will talk to your friends, and this will lead you to be scolded by the teachers, you dislike the subject, you dislike school. And this is a vicious cycle. The second reason why you should not over-prepare your kids is because children will stop paying attention in class as they can rely on their tuition teachers. As a result, they miss out on learning essential skills like listening, focusing, paying attention in class, asking questions, being curious, problem solving, and most importantly, they miss out on the joy of discovering new knowledge with their friends and teachers. So please don't go through the textbooks in advance. Don't send your kids for academic tuition thinking that they need to be ahead and be confident. It might actually backfire. As a teacher myself, I have seen students falling asleep in class and not paying attention because they know they can always learn from their tuition teachers. But learning is not just about scoring well. It is also about the skills involved. At this age, positive learning dispositions are actually the most important. Positive attitudes like resilience, reflectiveness, independence, and curiosity are the skills that our kids need to become lifelong learners. This is the true goal of education. It's more than just doing well in an exam. So trust your kids and let them learn along with their teachers and friends. And even if they struggle, it's not too late to identify their learning gaps and guide them along. Now, I'm not saying that you cannot send your kids to tuition at all. A teacher I interviewed said it's okay for the kids to go for tuition if they have tried and they need additional support. So let your kids try on their own first before jumping in to try to intervene. There are so much more valuable skills a child can pick up when they meet a roadblock and they overcome challenges on their own. You must be thinking, does this mean that I don't even prepare my kids academically at all? Now let's take a look at what exactly your child needs to know before entering Primary 1. The teachers I spoke to mentioned that the students come into Primary 1 at different starting points, and this is understandable because they came from different kindergartens. The teachers will then treat everybody at the same level and go through the foundations and basics of every subject. So I asked them, what exactly do the kids need to know? So let's learn about this according to their subjects. We'll start with English, Mother Tongue, then Mathematics. For English, a teacher shared that for the first 2 terms, a lot of work is guided because there are some children who cannot read confidently yet. So be assured that there will be support for children. Later on, I will talk about the additional programs that schools have to help children who are weaker in literacy and numeracy. While it is not mandatory for children to know how to read before entering Primary 1, it is good if they can have some basic skills of reading basic words so that there's one less thing that they are anxious about. Most preschools have taught the basics, and those are good enough. You can help develop reading readiness in your children. For example, teaching them how to hold the book upright, knowing how to read from left to right, from the top of the page to the bottom of the page, knowing how to recognize letters, the uppercase and the lowercase, knowing the sounds of the consonants and vowels, as well as sight words and high-frequency words. They should be able to carry out conversations in English and to write their names. In case you're panicking, oh no, my child doesn't know his phonics sounds yet. Now, please hear me out. Don't go scrambling for a tuition phonics class because of this. Once a week of phonics class will not effectively help the children learn to read and develop the joy and love for reading. What is more important is you. Do you read to your children? Do you create a print-rich environment for your child? Do your child see you reading? Do you bring your kids to the library? Do you sing songs or point out what's in the environment? For example, on the cereal box, in the supermarkets, on the road signs or notices. These everyday conversations are what will cultivate our kids' interest in reading. Remember, the love for reading is more important. We don't want our kids to associate reading with going to phonics classes and any negative forms of emotions. Note that I intentionally start this transition to Primary 1 series with the academic learning because I want to give you time to instill this habit of reading in your kids. If you need help, I recommend you watch this video here where I share with you 5 interactive games to build reading skills. If your child really cannot read, rest assured that there will be support from school. They call it the Learning Support Program. At the time of this recording, all schools will let the Primary 1 students take a test at the beginning of the year. Students with weak literacy and numeracy skills will be identified, and the school will provide additional support for English, the Learning Support Program, LSP, as well as for Math, LSM. These are pull-out programs taught by qualified teachers who have gone through specialized training. Lessons are carried out in small groups so the children can have enough interaction with the teachers and seek help from them. Do I hear a question about spelling? According to the teachers and when I guide my kids, spelling don't really start so early in the term, maybe late of term 1 or beginning of term 2. But of course, every school is different. So when you teach your kids learning, try to make it fun and enjoyable. There are several fun ways to help your kids learn spelling, and I have shared them in this video here. Now at home, my kids don't dread learning spelling because we do it in several ways that make it exciting and enjoyable. A pro tip here, always learn spelling at least 2 days in advance. This will cause you to feel less stressed and you won't transfer the anxiety to your children. So you can get your kids to learn, for example, 2 to 3 words a few days before the actual spelling, and each time you learn a new word, you can revisit the previous words to reinforce their learning. Similar to English, mother tongue languages are best learned if they are practiced every day. So the teachers have suggested to speak to the kids the mother tongue language every day and to encourage them to read books that they are interested in the mother tongue languages. A teacher suggested to start small, so maybe you can start assigning a day of the week where everyone will speak that language at home. Otherwise, I do recommend singing songs, reading rhymes, listening to cartoons in Chinese, or even listening to the news. This will help children be less fearful of the language. In addition, another teacher warns parents not to pressure or force their children to read books with many words because it can be too overwhelming for them. She suggests choosing age-appropriate books, for example picture books, with topics that your kids enjoy. The last thing we want to do is for our kids to associate learning mother tongue with any negative experiences. Now I want to spend some time talking about Chinese, so my non-Chinese followers, please bear with me. Children are not expected to learn the Hanyu Pinyin before entering primary 1. So please don't be stressed that your child doesn't know it yet. This is because it will be taught in school. And as long as your child pays attention, he or she should be able to grasp it. I can also understand your concerns because I've heard that the Chinese spelling actually starts in week 2 or week 3 and they are tested on Hanyu Pinyin. So when I probed further the teachers, she assured me that the spelling at the beginning are very basic, like the sounds a, o, e, u, yu, and these are actually taught in class. So if your kids pay attention in class, they will be able to do well in the spelling. And of course, the stakes are very low. It's okay if your child makes mistakes in the spelling, and this means there's information for you to help your kids fill up his learning gaps. Another note from a Chinese teacher is that your child needs to know how to write his or her Chinese name. The teachers will not teach it, so this is one of your homework to make sure your kids can write their Chinese name confidently. I am a math teacher myself, so I know how important it is to lay a strong foundation in mathematics. The math teachers I spoke to mentioned that terms 1 and 2 are basically a recap of what was covered in kindergarten 2. So children just need to know the basics. For example, basic patterns like A, B, A, B, counting to 10, recognizing numerals and words from 1 to 10, writing numbers, one-to-one correspondence, and knowing how to compare quantities. Example 5 is more than 2. So instead of making your kids do math assessment books over and over again, I highly recommend that you use your daily conversations to point out the math concepts in daily life. And this is so important. When children make meaning of what they learn in mathematics, they will enjoy the subject even more. Now let's go into the last part, homework. Parents have been asking, is there a lot of homework for kids in primary 1? Now the teachers I spoke to said that there's hardly any homework for the kids in primary 1, and I can attest to that. When my son was in primary 1, I seldom see him do much homework. A teacher added that most of the work is completed in class. And there is a reason why, because teachers understand that children are going through a big transition in their life. So we don't want to stress the children too much with homework, with social skills, communication skills, and their emotional regulation. It is more important to help them settle in school, and the academic part is definitely not as important as the social emotional development. I will talk more about building social and emotional competencies in part 4 of this transition to primary 1 series. Yeah, so don't panic if your kids have no homework from school, and please don't give your kids tons of assessment books to do. Your child has just started primary school, and it's more important for him to enjoy the experience and not to be stressed out about doing this additional homework. The workload will get heavier as the kids go to upper primary, so when my kids are in lower primary, I want to let him and my girl play as much as they can. A teacher told me that she observed that kids are given lots of homework after school, but this is counterproductive because children are so tired when they get back, and if they don't understand what they've learned in class or they can't do what's in the assessment book, it makes them even more tired and defeated. In the end, the kids will sleep late and they can't pay attention the next day, and it becomes a vicious cycle. Instead, give your kids lots of downtime and time to read. This is what I will cover in video 3, where we teach kids how to develop habits and routines at home. In summary, don't over-prepare your children academically because they might lead to long-term detrimental effects. When children don't enjoy learning, it becomes harder to get them interested and more motivated when they learn new and more difficult things. We don't want them to end up getting bored and end up disliking school. And like I mentioned, we don't want our kids to miss out on learning important skills like focusing, questioning, listening, problem solving. And there is no need for children to get everything right. I mean, what's the point of going to school when you already know everything? So let your kids learn from their mistakes. The stakes are really low at this age. Of course, you want to be present to support your children emotionally and also to guide them through this entire learning process. If your child goes to preschool, they should be well prepared for primary 1. The teachers will also take extra care for children who need additional support. All you have to do now is to cultivate a love for reading in your kid, in English, in the mother tongue languages. And as for numeracy skills, point out these math concepts in your daily life, talk about bus numbers, or when you're eating fruits, you can get them to see that why is it that mommy has 5 grapes, but little brother only has 2 grapes, so they can see that 5 is more than 2. I actually share a lot more of this over at my other account, Our Little Play Academy, and I'll add the link below for you to browse and get some ideas. Generally, the teachers assigned to the lower primary levels are the more caring ones, and you can be rest assured that they have journeyed with students for many years, and they will be able to provide the right support and help your kids adapt. They know that the children are going through a big change in their lives, so trust the school, trust the teachers, and trust your child. Children are more adaptable than we think they are. If you have any questions regarding academic learning, feel free to type it in the comments below and I'll do my best to help you, or I'll seek help from the teachers. So in the next video, I will talk about helping your kids adjust to the new school environment as well as the new school routines. This is going to be a really long video, so don't forget to click subscribe and turn on the notification bell so that you can get all the actionable tips that I share. I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye!